Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Thursday, the 7th of August, 2025. Starting off looking at a synoptic picture, and you can see at midnight last night, the high pressure that's been dominant for the last few days has been cleared off to the east, and the low there is centered sort of just sort of between the northern tip of the UK and Iceland is becoming the predominant feature. And with that, we're getting a fair amount of frontal activity. So we can see there was a warm front, a fairly small warm sector with a significant cold front following behind over Ireland at midnight. Looking to today at midday, so 1 o'clock local time, you see a much smaller warm front there as it's combined with much of the cold front to the north to form that occlusion. But we will probably still see that warm front there about 1 o'clock or thereabouts, followed quite soon after by that cold front. And not particularly strong feature, but it's still an amount of precipitation there. Running that through, you can see by midnight tonight, it's very much weakening and into tomorrow, a slightly better day with some clear air behind. On the sat pic today, as of about 10, 15 minutes ago, see it's very sort of messy, lots of thick cloud there. A lot of wave influence to the north there across Northern Ireland, the Midlands, north of England, and very much up into Scotland as well. And that's with a fairly brisk southwesterly breeze. Not a great deal of structure down where we are. You can see out towards Wales and Gloucestershire some features there on that picture. Rain-wise, we've got a little bit moving through now, as you can see on the radar. Fairly isolated showers. A bit brighter outside at the moment, but expecting those continued showers to come through for the next hour or so. Looking at the Met Office prediction, 9 o'clock local, not actually showing those showers. If we just run that back 10 minutes, you can see it was observed for there to actually be a fair amount in our area. But if we run that through what they're predicting, you can see we should remain clear for most of the morning and early afternoon before starting to see any of that light rain. But as you can see, the model there wasn't quite picking up on that lighter stuff that we're seeing at the moment. Odium TAF then giving 210, 12 knots, visibility greater than 10 kilometers, a few clouds at 2,000 feet. And sort of much of this afternoon, we've got broken at 1,800, with prop 40 between 2 and 7 this evening of 7,000 meter vis with light rain drizzle scattered at 1,000 feet. So it shows a bit of a deterioration into the afternoon with reducing cloud base and a light drizzle. Farnborough, on the other hand, 200 at 6 knots, so light to moderate southwesterly again, visibility greater than 10, few at 3,500. There's also a prop 30 in between 2 and 4 local of 8,000 meters vis with light rain and broken at 1,400. So similar story there. Spot winds to the south of us, we've got southwesterly 20 knots, 1,000 and 2,000 feet, and to the north, it's between 20 and 25 with a similar southwesterly component. Surface wind, you can see some sort of moderate southwesterly flow across the airfield. It shouldn't be too strong based on what we're seeing, so we will operate runway 27 as and when we get the kit out. And we'll monitor that throughout the day. If we need to make a change onto runway 23, then we may do so. See with the local Met Office forecast here, they're giving us about 12 knots, gusting potentially up to 25 later this afternoon, generally just over 20, and with thickening cloud into the afternoon and fairly humid air. Still a reasonably high UV warning for today, so yeah, do take care in that regard. And looking at temperature now on GFS, around 22 degrees potentially I would imagine it'll be slightly cooler than that with the amount of cloud cover we're expecting. And a dew point of 10. You can just refresh that webcam. It's opening up slightly on top, but to the west in the direction from where that weather's coming from. You see, got thickening cloud as well. So if we can get a bit more heating onto the ground, hopefully burn some of this stuff off, that would work very much in our favor. Otherwise, we can expect a sort of similar picture to this for much of the day. Temperature locally, we're now up to 16.3 with a dew point of 13. So cloud base probably no more than about 12 or 1300 feet. So looking at SkySight on the left-hand side, you can see there's an excerpt from the potential flight distance. I'll zoom out slightly. You can see there's not a great deal there, lots of question marks, so the models aren't really sure what's going on. Certainly not predicting any significant cross-country soaring weather today. On the point forecast on the right, very messy split there, particularly on the cloud front. You can see lots of upper cloud thinning slightly mid-morning, but then thickening up again for the rest of the day. And the mid-level cloud, nothing too significant until later on this afternoon, and sporadic low level until mid-afternoon, where it goes fairly solid with potentially a little bit of embedded cumulus. Would suggest that it's soarable, sort of 2,500 feet for in the afternoon locally here at Lasham, with climbs around 2 or 3 knots. Thermal top winds, fairly strong. So looking at really sort of a 3,000 foot wind here of southwesterly or west southwesterly, about 30 knots. Pressure, as we said, it's the slightly lower pressure today, persisting, and then overnight climbing back up to around 1020 for some slightly better weather tomorrow. Top Meteo, looking at cloud distribution starting at 9 local. You can see this darker area, or these darker areas here, shows thick AltQ. The slightly lighter grey is medium thickness. We run that through. So we get a little bit of thinner AltQ to begin with, but thickening up from the west. Where you see the yellow and orange, that is below 1,000 feet in terms of cloud base, and the orange is sub 500 feet or fog. So most of that remaining clear, arriving at the south coast later this afternoon, and potentially here at Lasham around about 8 o'clock this evening, depending on how quickly that moves. But a little clear behind that front. That's obviously associated with that cold front that's coming in. You can see it's fairly defined there. And that should clear certainly our area, which is getting dark this evening, leaving behind some reasonably clear skies. NOTAMs, not a great deal to talk about, especially based on that forecast, but 24 nearby to us. We've got Delta 132, the ash ranges. Down at 5 towards the Solent, there's a temporary danger area for drone testing. It's up to 600 feet. And likewise over at 30, that is the Severn Estuary, then temporary danger area for drone testing up to 1,400 feet. If anyone happens to be motor gliding, maybe at some point today, later this afternoon, heading down to the Isle of Wight, there is an air display at Cowes from the surface to 1,000 feet, and that's not until 1745 Zulu, so 6:45 this evening. We'll move on now to the local element of the brief. And looking at our glider allocations to begin with. So we have 2 K21s today for booked flying instruction. There is one K21 for operating the 5-day course, and there's a K21 for the casual list. And number 4, SH3 and SH7 are allocated to MERV's Silver and Beyond course. And this morning we have 7 on the casual list and no instructors. So we know we will do some flying today, so we need us to get some instructors out. If anyone's around that would be willing to help, that would be very much appreciated. And for when it does turn a little bit, we need to do some groundwork. The simulator is available as normal. So again, the daily reminder about the Aboyne expedition. You've heard me say that every day this week, so I won't spend too much time dwelling on that. And we have nothing today from 2XL. In summary, then, we have low pressure to the north of the UK, leading to passage of a warm and cold front in the middle of the day. Yeah, you got thick cloud with varying bases and some rain throughout. And southwesterly flow across the airfield. Be operating runway 27 initially, cables on the south side grass, and please ensure you're ready when the cable or tuck arrives. As always, do not land or taxi across the disused runways shown in red. And finishing there with the airfield set up on 27 with the winch on the south grass, air towing from the main runway and the hard, and I don't suspect there'll be any requirement for a grid today. That's all from me this morning. We'll see you shortly. So have a good day and keep it safe. Thank you.